I was scrolling through my Twitter and I found this article. Now, y'all probably looking at your screen and like, where is Torian going with this, and why is there a rainbow colored apple on there? Trust and believe. You know, I always try to have an image that goes well with whatever story I'm talking about. If it's not a person that I'm talking about, even though I'm talking about a person, the person is nameless and anonymous, but it has something to do more so on a state level. So this article that I came across involves the state of New York. As you all know, New York's nickname is the Big Apple. Hence why I picked this picture of an apple. And as you can see, it is a rainbow colored apple. So you already know I'm about to talk about the Alphabet Academy. And we're talking about the T class yet again. Because apparently something recently happened in New York. And let me tell you something right now. A lot of these kids today, or these minors, they're giving them way too much power than they deserve, especially if they fall into the Alphabet Academy. But because the Academy has allowed this small group of people to become so entitled that even children can override what grown adults say. And even if grown adults fight back against even what the minor says, even though they know it's completely or sounds completely unconstitutional, they'll get pushed back. So basically what happened is you have this teenager who was anonymous, who identifies as trans, has filed a suit against the state of New York because they won't allow minors to identify as what they are on their birth certificate rather than what they were born as. Because apparently in 2014, which I didn't know, New York signed into a bill or two, a state law that grown adults, meaning those over the age of 18 who identify as transgender, can change the marker on their birth certificate from what they were born as to what they now identify as. And apparently, based on what I've read so far in the article, because I didn't get through the whole thing, this teen won. And it was relatively fast. Like they said, effective immediately, that they're going to allow minors who identify as transgendered to change the marker on their birth certificate from what they were born as to what they now identify as. Now, I'm telling you, these are minors, 17 and younger. And the thing is that now that they have signed that into a bill or made that effective immediately, if they decide to do that, you're going to have to make it happen. And if you go against it, you will be penalized. Now, I just gave y'all the summary before I even read one word of this article, but trust and believe me, it goes downhill even further from there. I just wanted to give you a summary of what you were about to hear. And that's not even the tip of the iceberg. New York State will now allow transgendered minors to change the gender marker on their birth certificates to reflect their gender identity instead of their sex assigned at birth. Effective immediately, transgender individuals born in New York will have the right to make this deeply personal decision without the government's unwarranted denial or without having their privacy violated. So that means they can just go around whatever the government policy may be in place and just do it anyway. See what I mean when I tell you this group is very small, but very entitled. Very small, but very entitled. New York Attorney General Letitia James announced on Tuesday, "We will not allow an outdated policy to stop us from providing every individual with equal dignity and respect." I'm going to be quite honest. A lot of these lawmakers or these policymakers who allow this is one of two things. One, they're trying to get reelected, or two, they are scared of the Alphabet Academy and the pushback that they'll get from them. Like I said, not only are they a small group that's entitled, but they're a small group that has a huge economic push behind them, which is why they can get away with the stuff that they do. I'm telling you, all they got to do is wave that wand around one good time and they can usher in the P. And y'all know what the P is going to stand for. And I talked about that in a recent video with the one in California. Like I said, it's a trickle-down effect. One domino falls, the rest are going to fall with it. James' announcement came just 2 months after a 14-year-old trans boy, which means this is someone who was born a girl who now identifies as a boy, known only as MHW, sued the state over its policy barring minors from changing their birth certificate gender marker, which has been legal for adults since 2014, which I did not know. MHW called the new policy awesome. Now all my identity paperwork matches and I can go forward not having to worry about legal documents conflicting with who I am again. I get to just go on being me, he said, or she said, following the announcement, according to a statement from the Lambda Legal and LGBTQ civil rights group that filed the case on MHW's behalf. Omar Gonzalez Pagan, one of the Lambda legal attorneys working with MHW's case, said this week's announcement is a victory for all transgender people in New York. Every person should be recognized and respected for who they are, Gonzalez Pagan said in a statement. Well, I would like to currently identify as a billionaire. Of course, my account doesn't reflect it, but because I feel like $1 billion should just be deposited there, like effective immediately. Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds? And the crazy thing is, if you brought that to their attention, they'll say that's ridiculous. And if I was to say, well, you identifying as someone else that you're not is ridiculous, then they'll be like homophobic, transphobic. No, they'll say transphobic. That's the other one. See what I mean? And you can't tell me they won't say that. It shouldn't take a minor and their family suing the state to get their rights recognized, but with this announcement, New York State eliminates an outdated and unjust barrier to transgender minors' ability to be themselves and have accurate, essential identity documents. And I can't help but think that this is also an extension of what's going on with Zion Wade. See, they're going to need him to be the vessel. Because see, of who his parents are. They can, like I said, they push that hard enough and long enough. What they're going to do is it's going to spread like wildfire, and it's going to trickle down to the people who are lesser known or not known at all to do the same thing. MHW was born in Ithaca, New York, but now resides in Houston, where he attends school. Assigned female at birth, began the process of changing their name and gender marker, on their various identification documents in Texas last October. Following a Texas district court ruling in their favor, MHW was able to change a number of their official documents, including licenses, certificates, and eventually the passport and social security records. So you do realize that. And see, this is the thing right here. This is where the trickery comes in. What if when this person starts dating and they go out in the world and they tell a woman who is a heterosexual woman that this person, that they are a man, and they later find out that they were biologically born a woman. This is exactly how, and in many cases why, a lot of transgendered women, those who were born men and, transition into quote unquote women, end up in a position that they do. I don't have to explain what that position is. And then they'll try to say that, oh, they just killed him because it was a hate crime. No, it's because of the deception behind it. Like, you need to be upfront with whoever it is that you're with and tell them, look, I had an operation. I was born this way, but I'm now this way. And then let that person decide if they're going to be with you or not. And that's completely up to them whether they want to be with you or not. Because when you don't do that, it's like you're going to be waking up in the middle of a Crying Game scenario. Those of you who have seen the movie The Crying Game know exactly how that movie ended. However, MHW and their parents were informed by the New York State that it did not allow birth certificate changes for anyone under 18. This inconsistency, they feared, could potentially expose MHW to harassment and discrimination. According to the 2015 U.S. Transgender Survey, nearly 1/3, 32% of respondents who have shown an ID with a name or gender that did not match their gender presentation were verbally harassed, denied benefits or service, asked to leave, or assaulted in New York. It's 34% in Texas, and in Texas it's 32%. There is currently a patchwork of laws across the U.S. when it comes to birth certificate gender markers changes. Some states, including New York, California, Colorado, Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Washington, allow both transgender adults and minors to update their birth certificate gender markers, according to the Lambda Legal. However, at least 2 states, Ohio and Tennessee, don't allow for amending the gender marker on birth certificates at all. Lambda Legal is currently suing Ohio and Tennessee over these policies, and how much you want to bet they're going to win. Now, it was one part in this article that I think I may have read too fast, and I have to go back and point that part out. So basically, you know how they always say that with people in the G class, and they say that they may be born that way and everything like that. In here, they're basically saying that someone could be born trans. How? That's what I'm trying to figure out. How is a newborn, whether born a male or female, know that they're trans already? They're not even thinking about that. Their brain isn't fully developed at all. That's something that's pretty much solely put on by the parents. And then, you know how I kept saying that black women have to stop being at the forefront of something like this? This General Letitia James has put herself at the forefront of this because it was her decision that allowed this to actually be pushed a bit forward, along with those activist groups behind her. Now, I'm not saying that every black woman is down with the agenda, but I'm just saying that many of you are and need to stop pushing it in their, put in their way. But this is the upside down world that we are currently residing in right now. And it's crazy because they saying that it's outdated and everything, but it's not like they're trying to remove what's on the books out of the books. They're just trying to work around it. And notice it said unwarranted government policy or whatever. It said something about being unwarranted. Amazing that they are able to work around something that's on the books, something that should be deemed illegal. They found a way to make legal, but only for them. Like I said, entitlement and bullying apparently works for them. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Have your notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in the next one.